Fam, what's going on? Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube with some breaking news. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. We'll get started in just a minute. Dylan Lonergan expected to hit the NCAA transfer portal, according to Matt Zenitz of 24/7. So this is news we anticipated, so we'll let everybody get checked in before we begin. Appreciate you guys being here. We had some technical difficulties this morning, so let us know if you can hear us loud and clear inside the comment box. I think it was like streaming. It was audio. There was a whole bunch of stuff. As you know, the internet can sometimes be undefeated. So we'll let everybody get checked in. What are your initial thoughts of Dylan Lonergan hitting the NCAA transfer portal? All right. Appreciate you guys being here. Get started in just a minute. Give a roll tide inside the comment box. I appreciate you guys being here. Get started in just 1 second. Where is everybody? Test. All right. You guys good to go? Did a little hat swap. Feeling good? All right. 3, 2, 1. Breaking news. Dylan Lonergan, quarterback here at the Alabama Crimson Tide, will enter the NCAA transfer portal. That is according to Matt Zenitz of 24/7. This was news that we anticipated, right? We knew that a quarterback would leave. We kind of figured, based off the quarterback roster, that it would be Dylan Lonergan. I'm going to tell you why I had thought that. And I'm sure you understand that too if you're reading the tea leaves of the NCAA transfer portal. We still do not know if Jalen Milroe will return for 2025 or if he will leave to the NFL draft. But I think when you look to a quarterback like Dylan Lonergan, I felt that it was going to be him that would hit the transfer portal. Couple reasons why. Number one, I felt that Coach Kalen DeBoer has two guys that he specifically brought in since he's been here. First is Austin Mack. And the second is five-star phenom Keelan Russell, who, by the way, just earned the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Texas. And I think overall in the entire country. That's how good he is, right? You have Ty Simpson, who's the odds-on favorite to be the starter if Milroe is to declare for the NFL draft or to transfer. And you have Dylan Lonergan. So, kind of seemed like the odd man out. And that's why we were expecting him to be the guy to hit the portal if any guy was to hit the portal from the quarterback room. Now, could another guy hit the portal from the room or into the NFL draft? 100%. But right now, and I'm going to show you a graphic in just a minute that kind of shows you the quarterback room, Dylan Lonergan has hit the NCAA transfer portal. You look to past quarterbacks, and I'll bring up the most recent one, Eli Holsting. Holsting was behind Dylan Lonergan, right? He went off to be the starter at Pittsburgh. This past season, he had a wonderful year. But I think if you're Dylan Lonergan, you're looking at the quarterback room. I'll show that right now. And you're like, man, where am I going to fit in, right? When am I going to play? Do I feel that I'm ready to play here at the University of Alabama? And eventually you got to make that call. So the quarterback room, and we'll have a graphic right here of showing the quarterbacks, and you can put a transfer stamp over Dylan Lonergan. And now you have currently that are here in Tuscaloosa, Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and the newest player to hit the transfer portal is Dylan Lonergan, quarterback at the University of Alabama. In terms of an impact, I'm going to once again say that it's not that big of an impact because of the fact that this is what your quarterback room should look like next season. Okay, and we'll take Dylan Lonergan off this as well. You have Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, and that is if Jalen Milroe does go to the NFL draft. Again, we're still waiting for the official update from Jalen Milroe in his camp on what he decides. Last night, he won a very big award. We talked about that earlier on the show. But Dylan Lonergan hits the transfer portal. Really not shocking news. The only news is that it finally came out. And we've talked about other guys that we're watching and why it could make sense for those guys to hit the transfer portal. But I think the facts remain that, look, he's not a guy that was brought in by Coach Kalen DeBoer, which doesn't mean that he's not a good quarterback. In fact, he's a hell of an athlete. And the opportunities that we saw him, which were limited, he made some pretty good plays. He's also a very talented baseball player. I know a lot of people have talked about that as well. So if you're just joining the program, Dylan Lonergan has hit the NCAA transfer portal. We'll showcase another graphic that details all the players that have hit the portal from the University of Alabama so far. One thing that I want to also bring to your attention when talking about the NCAA transfer portal is that because of Alabama's bowl game, which is on the 31st against Michigan, that will prolong the transfer portal window, which for all other programs, it ends on the 28th of December. In this particular case, because of where Alabama's bowl game is, the transfer portal window will be extended to early January. I think it's the 5th or the 6th. That's probably why you haven't seen a lot of players into the transfer portal from Alabama just yet. But again, I think this is the 11th player to hit the transfer portal from the University of Alabama. Let me ask you, I don't think it's that big of a loss. And that's not saying like talent-wise. I'm just saying considering the room that's coming back. In terms of like an impact, 10 being like a high impact, 1 being a low impact, what do you think this is in terms of 10-1? I'm going to say low. I'm going to say like still out of all the players that have hit the transfer portal, I still think it's a low impact. It's probably like a 2 or 3. I don't think it's that big of an impact. And that's nothing against his talent. It's just, look, the room is going to be solidified. You have Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and Keelan Russell. I think Days brings up something worth talking about is like, does it hurt the depth? Well, that's an interesting question. I don't necessarily think so. You're only going to have one quarterback that can play, right? And you have 3 capable quarterbacks. If Jalen Milroe does leave, that can run the offense. I think the front runner that we all know is Ty Simpson. And then, look, Keelan Russell is not coming to ride the pine. The National High School Player of the Year is not coming to sit. He is coming to bring his best foot forward to start as a freshman. There's a reason that Ryan Williams just got a script A tatted on his leg. He's excited about the future. And that's the other thing, Roderick, is the biggest question right now still remains for this entire quarterback room is not, when would Dylan Lonergan hit the transfer portal? It is, say it with me, fam, is Jalen Milroe coming back? That's the biggest thing that we're still trying to figure out. Now, he has until, I think it's mid-January to announce. But in terms of the factual news that we know right now, Dylan Lonergan has hit the transfer portal. And as I always explain to you guys, as news happens, whether that is good news, whether that is bad news, whether it's like the way you want to take the news, we bring it to you on Bama Football on YouTube. So I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know inside the comment box, what do you think about Dylan Lonergan hitting the NCAA transfer portal? Earlier today, we are going over the transfer portal targets. We had some technical difficulties if you're here for the morning part of our show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to showcase the prospects that are visiting Tuscaloosa. And I think Alabama has a strong opportunity to land, if not one, all 3 of these prospects from the transfer portal. But let me back up by showing you a graphic, and we talked about this in good detail on our morning show, so I won't spend too much time on this following graphic. But what I want to do to kind of build up the fact that Coach Kalen DeBoer has a high hit rate in the NCAA transfer portal, it showcased you the prospects that he brought here to Alabama and how they fared. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I already talked about it during our morning segment when we had, some technical difficulties. But here's just a snapshot. And I think, as you can see, Josh Cuevas, Jeremy Bernard, Caden Proctor, we listed him as a transfer because he was at Iowa. Parker Brailsford, LT Overton, Damani Jackson, Keon Sabb, Graham Nicholson. He went to the transfer portal and got immediate needs, right? You needed a center, he went and got that. You needed a kicker, he went and got that. You needed your tackle, he went and got that. He has a very high hit rate in the NCAA transfer portal, 100%. Now, when you're looking at the targets that are coming in, you have some very talented prospects that will be visiting Tuscaloosa this weekend. And the first one we start out with is Kelby Collins, a very familiar name, right? A product from the state of Alabama, right? Gardendale. Now, he picked Florida over Alabama. And I think when you look to needs that Alabama needs from the transfer portal, defensive line, bandit position is absolutely one of them. He's 6'5", 278 pounds, kind of fits that perfect bandit role, right, in the 4-2-5. Now, we only played in 6 games in 2024, and from what I understand, there was a lot of competition within the Gators' defensive front, and some guys were able to beat him out for more playing time. Happens. But I think in terms of like development and having a relationship with Alabama and probably Freddie Roach, I would imagine, Kelby Collins is a high priority target. Let me ask you, and we'll show you the bandit position here later on. Do you feel that the starter at bandit is going to be either Keon Keeley or Jordan Renard? And if you don't, then you need a transfer because LT Overton, you got to think he's going to the NFL with the season that he had. If he doesn't, that would be outstanding. And then you also have Ja Latham, right? He's leaving because he's out of eligibility. So in terms of that bandit position, that's a big priority. Now, we don't know if Keon Keeley is going to the transfer portal or if the experiment of him being a bandit is going to work out. But Kelby Collins coming in is absolutely monumental. Now, there's going to be a competition for all these players. I mean, yesterday there was a graphic that floated out that showed, the NIL arms race and who has the most money. Not surprised to see Texas and Texas A&M up at the top. So what is your interest level in landing Kelby Collins on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being like absolutely need him, still looking in the portal, 5 kind of mid-range, or 1 low interest? I think after looking at the overall detail, I think absolutely you need a bandit position player. So I'm going to actually list Kelby Collins for my own take. I think probably like the 7 to 8 range for me. Jason, I appreciate the feedback inside the comment box. If you're just joining the show, at the front of the show, the breaking news is that Dylan Lonergan has hit the NCAA transfer portal. That's the short news. And that's kind of what we lead it off with at the beginning of the show. All right, the next prospect that I'm going to talk about is Casey Concepcion. Yo, you got to be excited about this young man coming in. Or at least Alabama having an opportunity to really have an opportunity to, number 1, entertain him, and number 2, have an opportunity to bring an elite wide receiver to the University of Alabama. You know, it was interesting when I was looking at KC Concepcion and his overall. Let's get that off. When you were looking at KC Concepcion and what he brings to the table in terms of a wide receiver, he's so physical. Now, he's only 5'11", 187 pounds. But, man, like, I'm telling you, and I gave you some homework, and I hope you did your homework because I asked you to watch his highlight film from the ACC, whether that's his freshman season in 2023 or this past season in 2024. And this is hard to say because I have great respect for Kobe Prentice and for Cole Adams. But if you were to ask me which receiver would I put out on the field based off just what I've seen from those guys, I would say KC Concepcion is a better slot receiver than those two. And I have a lot of respect for Kobe. Look, Kobe didn't get a lot of opportunities this year. And, you know, maybe he dropped a pass or missed a block or whatever this year. But I still hold Kobe Prentice in high regard as a really good receiver. And Cole Adams, man, that guy battled some injuries. And he's tough and he's fast and he catches the football well. This guy will start. You will have, if Jeremy Bernard comes back, you will have 3 wide receivers that are dangerous. And if you have a quarterback other than Milroe operating the offense, those 3 wide receivers are going to get fed, and the offense, you're going to see Coach Kalen DeBoer's offense, what it could do. Man, Ross Dellinger is saying that NCAA basketball could go up to 76 teams in basketball. See, it's just going to become more and more. It's like we're at 12 teams. They're just warming you up. It'll be 16 teams. And then you'll be like, you know what? 24 sounds nice. And then they'll be like, let's do 24, but 2 sides of 12. Kind of work their way in. And then they'll be like, you know what? Let's do 32. And then the entire season might just become the playoffs. KC Concepcion, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how excited would you be if Alabama landed him? I'm going to say 10. This is like major. This would be a slam dunk. He's a number 2 rated player in the transfer portal. Think about this, what I'm about to say. Out of 1,200 people, athletes, that have entered the portal, he's number 2. Number 2. So must get, and I think Alabama's probably close to solidifying a deal with him. I would stay close to your recruiting sites, but I think that this is high impact. And I would get out of the thought process of being like, well, only 2 wide receivers are going to catch the ball next year. That's not going to be the case. I think a lot of receivers are going to get spread because of the quarterback that will operate the offense next year. That's just what I'm thinking. Thanks for the feedback, Jeff. I appreciate you, man. Next player that's coming in is Lucas, a tight end. We've talked about him plenty of times. He's a number 3 transfer portal target. So you're getting some guys that are going to come in and get to explore the University of Alabama. One of the things that stands out to me, and I've said this before, is his physicality that he brings to the table. I think he's more physical than C.J. Dupree. I really do. We'll see what happens with him. I think he was injured during 2023 with a broken collarbone. In 2024, 3 touchdowns. You need a tight end. I'll run through some roster management here in a second. Yeah, Chris, and we'll be back in the evening time. Like I said, if you caught our morning show, I don't know if it was the system, it was YouTube, it was a combination, but thanks for being patient. And we've been exploring, kind of coming in the back end, kind of to recap some items that we might have missed on or new developments. So that's kind of what we're rocking with. But if you're just joining us, the main news was about Dylan Lonergan. And Dylan Lonergan hitting the transfer portal. something, honestly, we anticipated, so it's not like shocking news. I think it's news because it's a quarterback. It's news because it's related to a room where we're trying to figure out, will Jalen Milroe declare for the NFL draft? Will he come back? Damian Harris, we talked about this morning, said that he shouldn't go to the NFL. Rather, he should hit the transfer portal. We're talking about roster detail, and if you've been staying close to our show, we went through the offense yesterday. So I'll basically go through it real quick, but I want to show you the defense today because we've built out, I think, onto our corners. And if you're new to the show, roster management, when I talk about that, it's basically showcasing you the players that are on the roster 2024 and what 2025 could look like. Corey, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. I think we should try to get Baron Brown and Micah Hudson as targets of the defensive line that entered from Missouri. I haven't really been able to dive into those names, but I'll tell you what, Missouri's defense, they're very talented. And say what you want about Eli Drinkwitz, he can be kind of mouthy on the sidelines, but I think he's a pretty good football coach. And I think specifically on the defensive side of the ball, Missouri was like a top 15 defense. Now, if they had some offense when Alabama played them, who knows? But they had no offense. Their two quarterbacks were hurt. Their running back was hurt. I mean, I think Luther Burden was a first-team All-SEC guy on the offensive side, but that's just because he got, opportunities in the front of the season. Missouri was a better team. It's just that they didn't have the full depth, and they got hit with the injury bug towards the later part of the season. Here's a look at the tight end room, and that's why it's so important that we're talking about Luke Haas coming in, because when you look to next year, you got some young guns, right? Josh Cuevas will be that featured tight end. Luke Haas could be the C.J. Dupree of this year and continue to let these guys develop, right? And I think if you're looking for sleepers or kind of curious to dive more into this recruiting class, I would start right here with this guy, Marshall Pritchett. He's 6'6", probably 225, a lot of athleticism, probably more like a wide receiver. I'm dreaming for the day that Alabama has like a Brock Bowers type guy. I thought a playmaker at tight end would be Amari Knight. I thought it would be Jaleel Billingsley. I would argue that Irv Smith is the most dynamic tight end that I've covered. I didn't cover O.J. Howard. That was a little bit before I got here. But there's been some guys that have come in that have just not performed, I think, to that standard that we've been looking for. And I think in college football, if you have a dynamic tight end, you're dangerous. Josh Cuevas is good. Here's the Alabama wide receiver room. This graphic makes it look like it's absolutely gutted. You lose some guys for sure. Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, Caleb Odom. Those do sting for sure. I've mentioned already why I feel that Caleb Odom is the biggest loss, just because he's younger and I think his upside is really high. But when you look to this graphic right here, it kind of in detail shows you the strength of the room. That's why I would be disappointed if somebody else is able to get Casey Concepcion, right? But I wouldn't be mad about it because I know the wide receivers that are coming in. Let's say Jeremy Bernard comes back. Him, Ryan Williams, Emmanuel Henderson. Maybe he has a breakthrough season. You still have Cole Adams. Jalen Hell. He's coming along, right? Bubba Hampton. He can be that slot position player as well. Amari Jefferson didn't get a taste of him this year. We will see opportunities as he develops. I liked Amari Jefferson when he was in high school. Latsier Brooks coming in. Maybe Latsier Brooks can be that slot guy. This guy scored like 100 touchdowns in New Jersey. And then Derek Meadows as well. So see what I'm saying? Like, Casey would be a slam dunk get, but if you miss on him, I'm still cool with it. Bama Mark, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box as well. Hope you're having a good day. Chef is asking, Kyle, what does your gut say what we do at quarterback next year? I think My gut tells me that Jalen Milroe goes to the NFL. My gut tells me that Ty operates the offense during the springtime. My gut tells me that Ty Simpson starts against Florida State. You let Keelan Russell develop and you see if Ty can operate this offense at its highest standard. And if you can't, you make adjustments sooner than later. Because I think with Coach Kalen DeBoer, I wonder if he thinks that he should have changed quarterbacks during this season. And one of the reasons I think it might not be Ty might not be the guy is because he didn't play Ty when maybe he should have. And while you always want to hype up the freshmen and the new guys coming in, Keelan Russell's the National Player of the Year. So he's coming in, I think, to start. I don't think Keelan Russell's coming in to develop. I think he's coming in and he's like, I'm battling for the spot. And you should have that warrior mentality to be able to battle for the spot. But your wide receiver room looks great. Bama Red, you're right. There's another transfer portal window as well. Okay. Offensive line this year, the right side right here, total collapse. Really disappointed that this was an area. And I think if you want to look at both sides of the coin, this was a major issue that contributed to a lot of quarterback pressure. Did Jalen Milroe make bad decisions? Was the offensive line, was the offensive, play calling sus? For sure. But these guys, don't let these guys get off the hook because, look, whether Jaden Roberts was healthy or not, he underperformed. Elijah Pritchett, did he underperform? Yes. Did Wilkin Formby underperform? Yes. The right side's strong, and you're only losing Tyler Booker, but you're getting in Michael Carroll right here at the 5-star spot, right? Yes, Rocket Town. Yeah, Keelan Russell was originally committed to SMU. Pretty interesting to think about, right? Daniel, I agree. The right side of the offensive line struggled. Total collapse. And I've spoken about this several times trying to figure out what the offensive line will look like next year. But I don't think we can piece together something that we really feel comfortable with until you hear from a right tackle that has been brought on board. Either way you want to shake up an offensive line right now, you're not going to be happy with it. Go ahead and try. Screenshot this. Come back tomorrow with your best offensive line. It's going to be substandard unless these players have breakthrough seasons. And I'm talking about the right tackle position. Chef is asking Kyle, how would you grade DeBoer's first year? There was this inconsistencies. That I think that could be a video all in itself. But I think the short answer was, I think it wasn't great. Missing the playoffs is not the standard. There was things that, I definitely don't agree with. I don't know what's another word for good, but not good. No, I thought it was better than meh. Because when I look at the season, things that hurt are missing the playoffs. But how do you rank being number 2 in recruiting? You see what I'm saying? How do you rank landing Ryan Williams? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How do you rank bringing in Courtney Morgan? Right? How do you rank not benching Jalen Milroe? Satisfactory. Yeah. How do you rank beating Auburn? How do you rank beating LSU? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot to go over. But if you look, you know which game was the biggest game for Coach Kalen DeBoer to win? Auburn. If he doesn't win Auburn, there's no shot that Alabama was making the playoffs. You lose 2 out of 3 of your rivalry games. You lose to little brother. You've already, you're in-state. People are already complaining about in-state recruiting. I think the transfer portal would have hit heavy if you don't play Auburn, right? Or if you lose to Auburn. So that was a huge, huge critical game. Ebony, what's up? We see you inside the comment box. Rich B, Jarvis. It looks like we're back on schedule in terms of our show. This morning's show, man, we are crushing gears. It looked like the audio was going in and out. There was stream. I don't know. So I'm glad you guys are back. Thank you so much. And at the cap off, the beginning of the show, we're talking about the news that I'll just go to slide 1 real quick. Dylan Lonergan hit the transfer portal. All right. Hey, Robert, you changed the avatar back to the 49ers, man. That's what's up. Yeah, that's good. That's like a little fresh air. Yeah, like that. Daniel's asking, how would you rank it if Milroe would have transferred at the beginning of the year? Hypothetical, there would have been a lot of pressure on Ty. But then the hypothetical question becomes, how could Ty operate the offense? We have no idea. The guy barely played this year. All right, here's a look at the Alabama defensive line. Kind of showing some graphics that I wasn't able to show you guys this morning. Tim Keenan, I got to think he comes back. I love Tim Keenan. Tim Smith will be gone. He's a graduate, rather. Jaheim Otis, he's gone. Looks like he's visiting Colorado. Hunter Osborne, have no idea where he'll end up. James Smith, Damon Payne, Edric Hill, those guys all coming back. James Smith is a absolute baller. He'll have a big year. He had a really good year this year. Here's what it could look like in 2025. Tim Keenan, James Smith, Damon Payne, Edric Hill, Isaiah Fega, Jeremiah Beeman, London Simmons, Steve Mbua. This Steve Mbua, this is a great story. I think he could have a really nice season upcoming for Alabama. This is why I kind of time back to Kelby Collins coming in, why it's important, right? Is if, let's look at it this way. If LT, how many, I forget if I asked you guys this morning. Yes or no inside the comment box, does LT Overton go into the NFL draft? Can we just put a poll on LT Overton? No, I think Kelby Collins is from Gardendale, right? All right, so we got a poll right now inside the comment box. All right, give me 1 second. What's the early votes on LT? 60%,
believe.
60%?
60%.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. It's kind of the same thing. I don't know about Jeremy Bernard, Damani Jackson, LT Overton. I think these guys are kind of like either ors. Another guy that I kind of feel the same way about now, we were talking about this yesterday, is Deontay Lawson. Blake is saying that Justice Haynes is gone. I haven't seen that anywhere. So, there's fake news sites that put up stuff all the time. I haven't seen that. So, that would be, something we go live on as well. But as I was talking about with Kelby Collins coming in, here's a look at your bandit position for next year. Now, if LT stays, thank goodness. If he leaves, you have Keon Keeley, Jordan Renaud, and then Cavante Henry, who has to – I don't know if this is up to date. If he's 220 pounds, he's going to need to add, 30 pounds, 40 pounds to be able to play the bandit position. And then for the wolf position right here, here's kind of a look at how things look right now. You have Quay Rusa, right? man, it's hard to believe that he's only a redshirt freshman. You have Yanze Pierre, another redshirt freshman. Noah Carter, right? Freshman. I think we have Ebony Carter in the house. You bring in Justin Hill, who's great. But I think you're good at the wolf position. Because Yanzi is an absolute monster. Just wait. And the development of Noah Carter, the guy just got here. Inside linebacker, kind of the same question about, after his injury, because I thought that Deontay Lawson would be an absolute lock to go to the NFL, but because of his injury and because I think he was overshadowed by Jahad Campbell, now I'm kind of thinking he comes back, which would be crazy. That would be, think about this, if LT Overton, if Deontay Lawson and Damani Jackson all come back on defense, because here's a look at, I guess we don't have the inside linebacker for next year, T. Well, yeah, we'll work on the inside line. Okay, so if you want to look to the inside linebackers for next year, just hypothetically, take off Deontay Lawson, Jahad Campbell, Justin Jefferson, maybe the fact that we haven't heard about an inside linebacker being a target for the transfer portal means that Deontay Lawson is really coming back, and you have Deontay Lawson. I wouldn't be mad at this, and I think I said this last night, Deontay Lawson and Justin Okoronkwo as the starters at inside linebacker, right? Justin Okoronkwo, this guy is a beast. Hey, J. Cole, what's up, man? I appreciate you being inside the comment box. I have a graphic that I showcase the players that are leaving, but the latest one is Dylan Lonergan, and now we're just kind of touching over some roster detail. I was going to show a couple of these graphics this morning, and then we hit some technical difficulties. Ellie Pond, what's up? 100% that Jahad Campbell will go. I mean, he had such a great season. Here's a look at the corners real quick, a graphic that I didn't get to show you. Here's a look at what it could look like next year. Again, we have no idea about Damani Jackson, if he'll go, if he'll stay. Yeah, Ellie Pond, Justin Jefferson is gone. Yeah, he'll be out. He's a senior this year. That's why I was kind of curious about the inside linebacker position. Caitlin DeBoss is saying LT ain't leaving. So the corner position, if Damani comes back, that'd be amazing. Then you'd have Xavier Brown. T on that graphic, Xavier Brown will only be a sophomore because he's a true freshman right now. Yeah, so we just edit that. And same thing with Jalen Mbakwe. And same thing with Zay Mincy. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And then the true fresh would be Dejon Lee and Chuck McDonald. Halfway Rich is saying Lawson not coming back. Yeah, kind of. The only reason that I'm thinking that Halfway Rich is because he got injured, Hey, fam, help me out on this one. Chuck McDonald, you think he's coming in as a corner? Or do you think he has the size to play safety? I started thinking this. I was thinking maybe because you have your corners. I feel good about the corners. Like, let's say Damani leaves. Okay. You have Zabian, Bach, right? Deshaun Jones. Zay's going to continue to grow up, but you have Dejon Lee coming in, and I was thinking, if you're good at the corner spot, maybe you could experiment with Chuck McDonald at safety just because of his physicality. Hey, Waylon, interesting point regarding when the transfer portal closes. It does close on the 28th, but for Alabama, because of where their bowl game is, for Alabama, the transfer portal closes, I think it's the January 5th or 6th. So you want to double check that. Which is why you'll see a lot of, transfers probably hit at that point in time too. I can't remember, Jeff, if he played 1 or 2 years at USC Damani, but I knew that just being, I felt, that's why I was so excited when Damani came, is that I felt his ceiling was really high, and he's now playing like the guy that we thought he was going to be. He didn't play like this at USC. But think about his coaching. I think it says a lot about his overall playmaking ability, but think about it. He's working with Mo Lindquist, right? So I don't know. I didn't see anybody inside the comment box with feedback on Chuck McDonald maybe being safety. Maybe we'll look into that. Yeah, Nicole, we covered that. That was what we opened with in the morning. Or, I'm sorry, the beginning of the show was Dylan Lonergan hitting the portal. And if you guys are coming in and you're just like, what's the news? Dylan Lonergan hit the transfer portal about 40 minutes ago. And now what we're doing is a little bit of roster management, looking at the graphics of what it could be. But I just published another video talking about Dylan Lonergan specifically. Real quick, we'll hit on the safeties. This is what it looks like this season. And how we did this is we packaged it with, and not all players are listed on this graphic, but we added the safeties and the Husky position together. Husky position, put it simply, kind of like a nickelback. Think of like a Devontae Smith, a Red Morgan. Those two guys rotated out of the Husky position. And the safeties are Malachi, Keon Sabb, King Mack, and Bray Hubbard. So next year, what I was thinking is you got to think Keon Sabb comes back, right? So your starters got to be Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard. I'm not mad about that. Hurts losing Malachi Moore, but the guy's been here for a long time and left his heart on the field, okay? Your Husky's going to be Devontae Smith. And you're going to see continued development from Red Morgan at the Husky position. Cam Howard, not sure where he'll play. Kirkpatrick Jr., he'll continue to develop. And then this guy, Ivan Taylor coming in, he is very physical. And so is he. Bray Hubbard, I think Bray Hubbard's the hardest hitter on the team. But, man, if you watch this guy's, his dad was Ike Taylor. Played in the league, probably a familiar name.
Wasn't his mom some athlete as well?
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of that. Like, for example, like one of the athletes, Michael Carroll. His father played for Penn State, and his mom played basketball for Michigan State. But I think Ivan Taylor, his dad is Ike, who played in the NFL. I'm sure you know about it. I think he played for the Dolphins. Special teams, I don't think we've had a chance to update special teams, but we're kind of back on the safety run. So I just wanted to go over some roster management. Those are a couple of things that I wanted to run through this morning. As Dylan Lonergan hit the transfer portal. So I thought because we had technical difficulties, we come back and have our show. So kind of looping back to the beginning, Dylan Lonergan hit the transfer portal. And, one last quarterback on the roster. And like I said, nothing against Dylan Lonergan. I just don't think it's a significant impact because he wasn't going to vie for the starter spot next year. I think it's a 3-horse race, right? You got Ty, Austin, and Keelan Russell. And that is if Jalen Milroe does leave to the NFL, which I think he's going to. So. HSVKR, do we all think that NFL would draft Milroe? That's kind of, that's going to be a question that we continue to go back and forth on. I show a graphic that we were talking about this morning. I'll have T read it out again. T, I'm on, can you see the screen? Damian Harris, NFL analyst for CBS. I read this out in the morning. But in case you guys missed that.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Hey, Jay Diggs, I see your comments inside the comment box. True freshmen, sometimes they get eaten up. I mean, you could say the same thing about Xavier Brown, too. I mean, Xavier Brown got cooked a lot, but he battled, right? Like, he got cooked by Auburn. Came back, made an interception. Red Morgan, I thought at times he was a liability, too, in the secondary. Those guys have to grow up. Zay Mincy, they put Zay Mincy at one time, and they threw a touchdown pass on him. All right, T's going to read a comment by CBS analyst Damian Harris regarding Jalen Milroe.
So Damian Harris said, I don't think he should go to the NFL draft because I don't think he's ready. I think he should hit the transfer portal, go somewhere and get a fresh start because I don't think this marriage between him and Kalen DeBoer, it doesn't look like it's working. Not for either person. Not saying it's either party's fault, just sometimes relationships just don't work. Yeah,
and, number one, I like Damian Harris. It's been nice to see kind of his career blossom. At one time, he was going to be on the sidelines for the Crimson Tide Sports Network, but I think he's big time. So, and I think he hits on a great point. I think, look, it's neither party's fault. It's just this doesn't fit anymore. This isn't the system that Coach Kalen DeBoer wants it to be. Clearly, he brought in Austin Mack. Clearly, he brought in, Keelan Russell to be the guy. That's like, while the starter should be Ty Simpson because he's been here and he probably understands the system and he can work it. The guys that Coach Kalen DeBoer wants to be at quarterback, they're here already. It's Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. Those are his guys, right? And someone asked me a long time ago, they were like, well, who does Keelan Russell compare to from the past Alabama quarterbacks, like over the last, 5-6 seasons? Nobody. I don't like the comparisons to Bryce Young. He's not like Bryce Young. He's not. He's not like Jalen Hurts. He's not like Tua Tagovailoa. He's not. He's not like Mac Jones. And he's not like Jalen Milroe. Keelan Russell is not like any of those quarterbacks at all. And now it's official that Bill Belichick is the new football coach with North Carolina. Kind of news before news. We were talking about this morning. I guess before they officially announced it, we were talking about it. But I think this is going to go down. But he compares to, if you want a really good comparison, it'd be like if Michael Penix Jr. and Jaden Daniels had a baby. That's who he's like. Really good touch on the football. He can run. He's not running 22 miles an hour like Jalen Milroe, but he can run. And he has a little bit of movement in the pocket. He steps up in the pocket. He has a really big arm. Thank you. Lamondo. Thank you. Jane Daniels. That's exactly who he reminds me of. Yeah. Tough as nails is a good time slot for you. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what? Tough as nails. I work out in the morning too, man. Just at 4:30, 5. So keep chopping. What's up? Yeah. So in case you missed it this morning, Bill Belichick, a 6-time Super Bowl champ and a 3 times NFL Coach of the Year, is coming to college football. Look, college football is crazy. For anybody that is already solidified in their career, that's why Coach Saban left. Coach Saban saw where this was going, and he jumped out the plane. It'd be Coach Saban jumping out with the parachute is like the greatest. This is how smart Coach Saban is. Coach Saban saw that this plane was going down, and he jumped out. And look, college football is off the rails. It's unhinged. Think about, they change rules every single month for college football. Now they're talking about a 14-team playoff. Now they changed. Think about the transfer portal last year to this year. Signing day was what? Now was the 4th this year? Last year was the 20th? The head's screwed off on college football. Bill Belichick coming in said that he's going to be like a leapfrog program to the NFL. That's fine. He's a hell of a coach. And I didn't come up with this. Brooks Austin came up with this. I said this earlier. He has a great YouTube channel where he breaks down film. He said for anybody wondering about if he could recruit, just look at his girlfriend. T, how old is his girlfriend? 24. So, I mean, I don't know how Bill Belichick is, but he doesn't look like he's 40 years old.
And I think she was a cheerleader at UNC.
Yeah, so, I mean, let Bill do his thing. The grown-ups do grown-up things. I'm not worried about that. I mean, don't bother grown-ups. So, head football coach at North Carolina, and that's that. We hit on this. All SEC first-team people. Ryan Williams, not surprised. Tyler Booker, guard. Malachi Moore, Jahad Campbell. I mean, Booker's going to the NFL. Malachi Moore's going to the NFL. Jahad Campbell's going to the NFL. Whoever gets Malachi Moore, I mean, I think he's very similar to Brian Branch. The Detroit Lions picked up a really good one in Brian Branch, and I think Malachi Moore will be the similar style of player. Jahad Campbell, man, I hope the 49ers draft somebody from Alabama one day. The only player that they've recently drafted within like the last 5 years was Cam Latu, and they tried him out at tight end. So that wasn't going to work. I like tight end on the defensive side, and he came here and did his thing for a year or two at tight end, but I liked him more on the defensive side. So, yeah, I know we had a show and then it went out and blah, 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 blah. I mean, so here we are, and I appreciate you guys jumping back in. We need to update this graphic right here, T. We need to add Dylan Lonergan in. And if you could put Dylan Lonergan above Caleb Odom, because I think that's probably the most impactful so far, I'd appreciate it. But here's a look at players that have hit the transfer portal, and then we'll wrap up, right? Army 3275 is like, is he 72?
He is.
They're adults, but come on, Kyle, it's definitely not left. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know what? Homie Quan is asking about. Yes, they had Reuben Foster. The Niners did, and I was so happy when they didn't draft him, but they traded for him, and then that's when he got charged with like the gun charges or whatever. Reuben Foster. So that didn't last long, but other than that, what are the other Alabama players to play for the Niners? Sucks. So tomorrow on the show, I think we'll do some calls, and we might do a little Army Navy, right? So be thinking who you're taking, Army Navy, and then we've been exploring with the night show, kind of like to recap stuff. It's a little, I don't know if this show's formal, but it's a little bit informal. So if you want to come with it, put your sweats on. If you're of age, grab a cold one, come kick it, ask questions, and have a good time. But yeah, so sorry for the technical difficulties this morning. Nobody's above the internet. When the internet is acting up, you just let it do its thing. Yes, and Micah Weems, I saw Caleb Odom taking a visit along with Jaheim Otis, both to Colorado. I would imagine that, that's probably the case for at least Caleb Odom. I think Jaheim Otis was kind of going the other way. Caleb Odom, I think, has a high ceiling. But I appreciate you guys joining me for the midday segment, or whatever you guys want to call it. As videos happen, hit the thumbs up on those videos. I'll be back tonight at 7:30 to recap today's news and notes along with T. I appreciate you guys being here when we go live. Be sure and turn on those subscription notifications so when news happens, you guys can be able to check in. I appreciate you guys' continued support on the YouTube channel. Have an amazing day. Do your thing. And